after that.
So welcome back to Bricks at Home 2021, everybody. We've had a really nice start to the day, checking out some film and book inspired Lego builds. And for those who are just joining us, this Lego event is coming to you live all weekend from Brick Alley Lug and London AFOLs. I'm Graham Hancock, editor at Blocks magazine, and I'm hosting for the weekend. Later today, we have a mindfulness and wellbeing Lego activity at 1:30. At 4 o'clock, we have Lego Ideas and World Builder projects. And at 2:30 p.m, we'll be joined by Lego Ideas design manager Sam Johnson to give us a peek inside the Lego design process. Don't forget to register if you'd like to attend the Bricks and Beer social at 5:30. It's for anyone aged 18 and over, and there's some fantastic prizes to be won with some activities going on, including a subscription to Blocks magazine as one of the prizes. So also go and have a look at the Bricks at Home online shop if you want to buy some merchandise. That's at bricksathome.org/merchandise. There's some cool stuff there that you might want to add to your Lego stash. So let's see some Lego models. We have weird and wonderful builds in this session. If you have any questions for the presenter, please pop them in the chat and put 3 question marks ahead of your question, so it's a bit easier to spot them amongst the chat. And yeah, once we've had a good look at the mark and a chat to the builder, we'll then take those audience questions. Now, first up, we're speaking to Damian Thomas, who's got some Technic dinosaurs to show us. Hello, Damian.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you.
Good stuff. Oh my God, I just saw them behind you.
Yeah, I had to move everything out of the bedroom to fit it in.
Wow. So what sparked this? Where did the idea come from to do Technic dinosaur skeletons?
Originally, well, the T-Rex was the first one that I did, and I always fancied doing dinosaurs out of Lego, and I'd seen that people had done them using bricks, and I thought it would be quite expensive trying to do, because I wanted to do a 1-to-1 scale originally, T-Rex. So I decided that Technic pieces are bigger, so it'd be cheaper. Didn't turn out that way. But I was able to get bigger coverage using the pieces, and I also found that you could get good organic shaping using the Technic pieces.
Yeah.
So I ended up just getting hooked on using Technic. I did have some Technic sets before, but it was never like my favorite pieces to use. I always used to use the Lego bricks, but now I just love Technic.
Yeah.
Organic shaping. I just play around until I get the shape that I want. Sometimes I can be playing, trying to get a shape for ages and nothing happens, and I'll leave it for a bit, come back, and then it'll just drop into place. That's what I found most of the time. I mean, when I was doing the T-Rex, I used the, it was the body off one of the Star Wars figures, like the main torso.
Yeah.
I started to use that on the nose, and I spent so much time trying to use that piece that I didn't get anywhere with it. So I took that off, and then I ended up just using another Technic piece, and it just all fell into place then. But when I started to build the T-Rex, I realized that I couldn't do it 1-to-1 because it was pretty big. So I did it half scale. The T-Rex is half scale, and the Triceratops is half scale. The Dilophosaurus is 1-to-1, and obviously me velociraptors 1-to-1 as well.
Wow.
But I did the T-Rex first, and then I thought I'd have a bit of a challenge, and I thought, what could I possibly do that would be quite difficult to do? So I decided to do the Triceratops because I didn't have a clue how I was going to do the horns on it. But I was quite pleased with how it came out in the end. I mean, it's pretty big. I had some fun lifting it up through the house, getting it into my lad's bedroom. And then I did the Dilophosaurus. I did that one. That one turned out to be quite quick. I did that one in about 40 hours, I think it was. But I'd taken the other two, and I'd been to a show, and from like all the reactions of people when they saw them, I got a bit of a buzz out of it. So I came back all creative and managed to knock out the Dilophosaurus in what was relatively quick time considering the other two.
Yeah.
I mean, with the Triceratops, it took just as long to build the frame holding it up as it did to do the actual skull.
Well, what made you think to do a whole velociraptor, though? How did you go from the skull to the entire skeleton?
Well, because my original idea with the T-Rex was to do a complete skeleton.
Wow.
And obviously I thought, well, what's a smaller dinosaur? And the Velociraptor's cool as well. So I thought, yeah, I'll have a pop at that one. I mean, I'd always had it as an idea to do the Velociraptor. It was just getting around to doing it. I always end up, something else comes into my head and I start building that. And then, so I did start with the skull. I did the skull first on the Velociraptor.
Yeah.
And then I got distracted. I was because it was like lockdown, beginning of lockdown. So I ended up messing with Star Wars. I went on to do an AT-AT collapsing, because I've already done a Hoth mock, and I wanted to do a collapsing AT-AT, but I wanted you to be able to press a button and it fell over so that people could press it when they would come to the shows and stuff. So I got distracted with that, and then I got back onto the Velociraptor and just went for it then.
And what kind of reference do you use? Because I mean, it must have to be pretty detailed to make sure that you're getting these fairly accurate.
Yeah, I mean, I just go onto the internet and find as much reference as I can. Skeletons from like skulls from different angles, 3D models, whatever I can find really. I mean, luckily we went to where did we? I think it was in Birmingham. They had was it when Dippy? I think it might have been when Dippy did the tour of England, and we went to have a look at that. And I think they had a Velociraptor skeleton, so I took photographs of that.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, Tim's asked in the chat if you've approached any museums to display these.
No. Some people have said that. I did think about it. Yeah, I was thinking about the National History Museum, whether they. I don't know. I quite like having it in the house.
Exactly. Do you want to give these things up for a period? Yeah. So are the stands themselves built out of Technic as well? Andrew asks.
Yes. Yeah. Everything's Lego. That's why it gets so expensive.
When you're doing the Raptor, what was it like getting it into that pose that you've got it in? Because it just looks like a real, the way that these would be posed in the Natural History Museum or somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I'm a technical illustrator by trade, and I'm quite arty anyway. So I just sort of set it up like it was to make it look as dramatic as possible.
Yeah.
And to be honest, the reason it went to that height was because when I was building it, it was in here, and I didn't want it to hit the shelf. It was on top of there.
Yeah.
So I just bent the legs so it didn't hit the shelf. And then when the legs were bent like that, I thought, oh well, that looks pretty good. So then, because I had to change the stand for the rib cage and lower it down because it didn't look right. It had a bit of a kink in it.
What was the most challenging part to build of any of the four?
Out of the four, well, trying to get the bones, because I'd never done actual like limbs, so I wasn't sure how I was going to do that bit, especially using the Technic beams as well. The tail one was an interesting one.
Yeah.
Because I'd never, I don't know whether if I move it, whether it'll. Because they're bionicle.
Oh yeah.
They're bionicle pieces. Because I thought I'd bend the tail up when I did it. When I did research, the tail bones are fused together, and it's used for balance.
Oh wow!
So that scuppered it then. So I had to more room. But yeah, I think the tail. And the hands, I quite like doing the hands.
Is it challenging getting all these Technic elements in white?
Well, I got quite a lot anyway from when I was doing when I started off doing them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then not really. I just go on Bricklink and buy as many bits as I can get.
Mim asks how long the Raptor is from head to tail.
It's just under 2 meters.
Wow. And Jennifer asks, how do you choose which dinosaurs to build?
Just which ones I like, really.
Yeah.
I want to do Spinosaurus next.
That would be cool.
Well, Spinosaurus was the one I was going to do next, but then there's a famous fossil where there's a velociraptor fighting. I forgot what it was now. It's in a battle with another dinosaur. So I was gonna. Is it pterodactyl? No, I forgot what it's called. So I was gonna do the other dinosaur to that, so we could be having a battle.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Jennifer asks, which is your favourite?
Oh, I don't know. I do quite like the Velociraptor. When I finished it, I did spend quite a long time looking at it.
It is, yeah. I mean, it's one of those. It's a way that you don't see Lego used. You know, it's a completely original way to use Technic, because we're so used to seeing vehicles and machines made using Technic that this is something really unique.
Yeah,
oh, sorry, go on.
That's why I like using it, because it had not been done before. But then when I started using it, it was just it's just made for it. It just works so well with the organic shaping.
Yeah. Carly asks, is this the complete collection or do you think you'll build more?
Oh yeah, I'll definitely build more. Just don't tell the wife. Yeah, I mean, my lad had the velociraptor. This velociraptor was in his bedroom for about, well, when I started off doing it. So when I finished it, so like it was about 3 weeks, he was sleeping with a velociraptor in his bedroom.
That must have been creepy when he woke up in the night.
Well, I said, did it creep him out? But he said no. But I said, as a kid, I would have loved that. And
Andrew has suggested, what about a human skeleton?
Yeah, I did wonder whether I could do. I did think about that the other day, actually. Maybe, yeah. I'd have a pop at a human skull. I did look at a caveman because they had quite interesting shapes. So,
And
yeah.
is there any changes you'd make to any of the builds, or are you kind of happy with them as they are at this stage?
Yeah, I'm quite happy, I think. Well, when I was carrying the T-Rex up, because that was the first one, I did think it didn't look as smooth as my later ones. So, but I mean, if I took anything off it, I wouldn't know what to. As I was carrying it up, I was looking at it, I was thinking, how did I build that?
There's something nice as well about having like the evolution of your building style represented in the different models.
Yeah, it's definitely improved as I've gone on.
And which look are you a part of?
Brickish. But I joined last year? I managed to do one. I managed to do one show last year with Brickish, just before the COVID kicked in.
And what was the reaction like at the show?
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
Well, hopefully it won't be too long until we can see them in person at the next one.
Yeah, well, I've never shown the Velociraptor, which I need more space now.
Well, if no one else has any questions, we'll leave that chat there then, Damian. Thank you so much for sharing those with us and going through your build process. That's been absolutely fascinating.
That's okay. Thank you very much. I'm glad you like them.
They're amazing.
Cheers.
We have some more Technic to look at now because Ollie Ransome has got a Lego Technic Volvo hauler.
Are you opening up?
Hi, chaps.
Hey, Ollie, how are you?
Yeah, not bad. I'm fairly good.
What have you got to share with us today, Ollie?
I've got this.
So show your box first, look. And your model. I don't know if it can be seen.
Can you see that well enough?
We can. Are you able to step back slightly, perhaps?
Yeah, zoom out a little bit more.
Push it away from me.
This is always the challenge with massive Lego sets, is getting them in the frame.
Let me hold that. So what are you going to say about it then?
At the moment, what I found out is the it's remote controls plus because I'm a huge lover of these big Technic vehicles. This is Controls Plus, which allows remote control, speed, sounds, and the tipper function.
Fantastic.
It's got 2,193 parts. The measurements, on the other hand, is 60 centimeters in full length. That's from nose to tail.
Oh, wow.
The real one is 639 horsepower in the real one.
Yeah.
55,000 kilos tipping weight. And it weighs 43,000 kilos. And the engine is 16.16 centimeters straight diesel.
Wow.
So can you move the engine in here at all?
Yes, I need to pull that towards me. I'll give you a demonstration of it working.
Oh, fantastic.
Ollie?
That's really cool.
Right, if you close your bonnet down now then.
Hang on, I've done something like that.
If you want to pop it down on the floor, Ollie,
Hang on, let me do something for a minute.
just so it doesn't fall off the table.
Let me go.
HK
Okay.
has asked Ollie, how long did this take you to build?
It
That's
takes
20 hours.
it takes on average around 20 hours.
So can you show the app there then, Ollie?
This
Turn
is,
the other way, turn it the other way.
this is the applet.
Mm.
You'll be presented with this.
Oh, brilliant.
So that is the overall driving guide to this right here.
Yeah.
And then you can hear the sounds.
So you can hear the sounds there like that.
That's cool.
That's the ignition running.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. And
Right,
now
remove
I'm
that
just
now.
gonna take it for a drive so
Yeah,
you can
let's see
see
it in
the whole
action.
thing working. It's got all the back goes up on it and everything.
Can you see it on there?
Oh, wow.
So this does under here, it does, because the motors are connected to the gear cranks in here, which does first, second, and third gears, but no fourth, and it does reverse as well.
Oh,
As what
brilliant.
we demonstrated, like now.
Oh,
The
cool.
differentials are controlled by the motor as well.
Yeah.
So the motor is this big box here,
Yeah.
and that works right through, right to the back and right to the front.
Right, so if you pop him down now then.
Just put the thing back down.
That's really smooth, isn't it?
Yeah, good.
So Jennifer asks, what is your favourite function in the model, Ollie?
It's just the pure drivability of this. It's the most funnest aspect of the whole thing.
So if anyone else is thinking of getting this set, you would recommend it to them?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, you would.
Without question of a doubt, I
Yeah.
thoroughly would, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually looking at getting two of them for the hell of it.
We usually end up with multiples, don't we?
I've in the past I've had the. In the past now I've had 3 Mac anthems.
Wow.
I've got the red crane with the you know the lighting kit from Brixbags.
Yeah.
I've got the lighting kit installed into the actual crane, which controls all the lights on the sides, the orange ones, and the orange lights in the front and the back, and headlights and the brake lights and various other ones.
So
like
you had
that.
3 cranes. What kit was that? Do you know the number?
42082.
Yeah. But this one with the Control Plus up, what do you like about that?
Is just the pure driving aspects of this. It's just one of the absolute best I've ever seen.
And the sound effects are good, aren't
And
they?
the sound is just uncanny. I love it. I don't know if you can see this, but
Yeah, we can see.
if I can tell that, these 4 squares along here, as that at the moment, well, with the altitude of how much weight is on the axles of the vehicle, that's your gearbox setup. That is your load aspect, guys.
Yeah.
That tells you what you've been doing, like how many weight is carrying, how many hours, how many distance.
Yeah.
Things like that. I mean, you can put it in neutral and that. You've probably all just heard that. It was the gear paddles in the middle. When you put it in neutral, it sort of like makes a crack sound.
Just the gearing, doesn't it?
That's the gearing adjusting back to its normal position when it's not in use.
Yeah.
That would just do that anyway. That unlocks the differential, so it can be, if you slide it to 1 or 2, you can move it to drive, and it will still do the back, and it'll go up and down still at the back.
No, we can't see that because you're looking at that.
Even when the differential is being used, when it's not, just put it back in.
Yeah.
And it will just still do it anyway. But when it's in neutral, then it won't do anything. It's only when you press that one.
Yeah.
It's only when you press that button there that it will not do the movement. But if you press it again and then you put it in drive, then it will do stuff.
Well, that's really cool. Lots of people are saying in the chat, Ollie, thank you very much for showing us this. There's lots of nice comments about you giving us a look at this. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I would thoroughly recommend it to anyone.
Yeah.
If you are thinking about getting one, please go and get them. And if you're thinking about doubling up on it, please go and get 2 of them. Because believe you me, they are an absolute staple to any apples.
Technics that they are.
Yeah.
Aren't they? Yes, they are.
And
well,
as you know,
honestly,
I'm part of the
fantastic.
London Apples lug.
Yeah.
You've been joining in with that a bit, haven't you? Yeah.
Yeah. I've got the likes of all the Bugatti and the Lamborghini upstairs and stuff like that. I thoroughly recommend a Lamborghini. But in the terms of Controls Plus stuff, I think this absolutely outweighs the White's mining excavator.
Yeah.
This just completely outweighs that altogether.
So it's quite reassuring that the most expensive sets are not always the best.
No, apparently not. And actually, actually, there's a great piece of news that you Apples might actually love. is there is going to actually be another big construction Control Plus vehicle coming.
In the summertime.
Oh, that's exciting.
I think it's in October for it, I think, but I'm not too sure. It's
Okay,
going
so-
to be a £326 bulldozer. That was on exactly the same platform as this does now.
Can you mute that, Ollie?
Well, we'll look forward to that one.
Yeah.
Well, I think everyone's jealous of your Technic collection, that's for sure. Thank you so much. We've had a great time taking a look at that set. So thank you so much, Ollie.
Thank you very much. Then.
Literally, per se, I would find the nearest buy shop today and I would jump straight on wherever you can get them and I would just go ahead and just put them straight in your basket. I think that worth every single penny that will be spent on one of these, I would just literally go for the hell of it and just literally just buy it if I was you.
So thank you for letting me speak about it then.
That's very enjoyable, guys.
Thank you.
Well,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And now we're going to go and speak to Andrew Webb about a historical build that he's got to share with us. Hey, Andrew.
Hello. How are we doing, everyone? Thank you for having me. So I guess, first of all, does everyone know what the Sutton Hoo helmet looks like?
I don't think everyone will. So
shall I just show? If I share my screen.
Yeah.
So, can everyone see that?
Yeah, we can see that.
So this is the 1500-year-old Sutton Hoo helmet. Sutton Hoo's in Suffolk, and it was buried in a boat with. They think it's not 100% certain, but they think it's King Radwald. So he was a sort of ancient king, and so you can see the connection between both sort of the Suffolk where it was found and our friends over in Denmark, as now is. So I decided to build this as that's what it looks like now, by the way. It doesn't come out of the ground like that. They had to kind of reconstruct it. In fact, when it was found, it looked like that. And this bloke, Nigel Williams, was a conservator, and he had the job of putting this together, and he loved jigsaws. And this was in the late 70s. So I think it's more like a Lego set because he had his big load of bits and he didn't know how to put it together because no one had seen it. And if that's not a Lego set, I don't know what is. So he spent a year pinning this together and trying to figure out how to put it together. So he's almost like a kind of, a Lego fan, even though we didn't know it. So anyway, he eventually managed to put it all together, and it's been one of the treasures of the British Museum, and so much so was recently made into a Netflix film called The Dig. Because it was kind of interesting. The landowner who found it, Edith Pretty, she'd had these mounds on her land, and she got a local excavator, amateur archaeologist called Basil Brown, who's right before the outbreak of war, and he found this, and there was loads of other jewels. There was a sword and other stuff in the boat buried with him, but it had all collapsed in. But the reason it was found because it was the mound had shifted, and basically tomb robbers in kind of Tudor times had missed it all. So there's lots of history and inspiration and stuff like that. And I just built some sort of classic neoclassic space sets, and I was looking for a new project. And so bear in mind that the original 1500-year-old helmet's probably more stable than my build. I made this. Let me just angle this down. So I'll just
oh wow,
push you back a bit. So I started. It's on a little turntable, so I can give you a complete 360. So there's a couple of really interesting features that the Sutton Hoo helmet has. So bear in mind, this was found in East Anglia, but the original was made of tin and brass, and this strip down the center would have been gold. And beaten into this would have been stories and pagan symbols and stuff from ancient Rome. So there's one of a kind of guy on a horse sort of stabbing things, and they would have there was heavy amounts of symbolism, and it was designed. So on the original, you have this snake coming over, this two-headed snake going over the top, and then the eyebrows and this lower head snake and the nose piece form a dragon. So it's like this dragon and this snake are kind of facing off against each other on the head. And not only was it a piece of battle armor, but it was also a kind of, crowns weren't really introduced until kind of, I think sometimes around like 1200s, 1300s. So the idea of we think of as a crown of things is it wasn't really a sort of English thing. So the helmet was also a kind of symbol of authority and a crown. And so it has the face piece. Now, actually, Dr. Sue Brunning, who's the curator of the Sutton Hoo helmet, has been on Twitter. She was very helpful and sent me a link to the British Museum website where it's buried away, but they've got kind of research photos of it from all angles, and that was really helpful in figuring out what the back looked like, because there's loads of photos of it from the front on Wikipedia and things. But so then it's got these are the sort of ear protectors, and the original would have had a piece of cotton that sort of tied under the chin. But I still don't know whether the mouth is breathable, like it has a hole in the mouth or not. I read somewhere it has 2 nose holes.
Yeah.
And the other thing I read online was that it would have amplified the voice, because I ended up going down a rabbit hole of helmet designs from, Sutton Hoo to modern firefighters and what helmets have to do and what they're made of and things like this, which is all on my sort of Substack page that I'm building about it. There's some other kind of interesting details as well that I think are interesting. So if you look here, so on the side, I might have a picture of this somewhere actually. Let me just try and find this. There's on the side of each eyebrow, that each dragon's wing ends with a profile of a wild boar. And the boar has a lot of symbolism in Anglo-Saxon cultures, strength and fertility. It's very hard to make a boar's head out of a 1x3 piece. So all I managed to get in was an eye and a tusk and a snout. So that's kind of interesting. And it was the eyebrows, obviously the balloon segments only come in white, purple and caramel. As I think Richard said, if it gets submitted to LEGO Ideas, and I'd like these in gold, really. It would be better if they were in pearl gold or metallic gold. I did actually consider at one point trying to make it in, so there's about 120 2x4 metallic tiles here. And I did look at trying to buy. Do you know how much metallic tiles cost? They are not cheap, and some of the wing wedges plates wouldn't be in there. So I did put a few. I've got a few sort of. I don't think you can see there. Like there's a few metallic things, and even some tan bricks here, because I kind of wanted it to. I want it to have like a chromatical texture, if that sounds a bit crazy, but I didn't want it all built of one color. I kind of wanted pearl gold, metallic gold, tan, yellows, browns, coppers, light grays, dark grays, even old space gray. So yeah, I think that would be good. The other thing I'd probably do, I don't think they come in gold either, is because it has a kind of beading around the edge. So if you see underneath the head plate here, there's these flexible axle pieces. They don't come in gold as well. So, but I mean, there are quite a few illegal builds in here. So these 2 sort of diagonal dashes. So I ended up thinking like, well, what's the symbolism of those? And I ended up sort of looking at why American footballers put black marks on their face. So was it to stop reflections and things like this? And they're held in just by pressure. They're not actually attached because they're at such an obscure angle. So they will, if I just get a wedgie, they will just pop off, but they're sort of held in. So there was a lot of things with the build that I just kicked into the long grass, and hopefully, professional LEGO designers, if it ever gets made, will figure out
with that.
Well, I was thinking, I was just inspired by the dinosaur, Damian, wasn't it? And he was obsessing about that one part on the end. And sometimes you're so desperate for things to work. Like the original, so I tried out things like trying to get the trying to get some stuff, but because the shape it arches like that and it goes round like that, it was just and I spent like it must have been like ages, and I sort of thought, and the danger is, I think you can sort of get disheartened and go and give up, and that would be the worst thing. So I imagine if we come to think about this, using these balloon eye pieces, they're more powerful. Maybe they'd be printed, because we don't like stickers, and Lego Ideas projects seem to get custom bricks. So yeah, they'd be kind of printed with metallic things as well. And maybe, I mean, these English things are squares as well. So yeah, I mean, it's the stand. Oh yeah, so I was supposed to talk about, I'll lift it up gently. Also comes with 3 minifigures. So we've got Basil Brown there in the brown. He's the guy who found it, and there's a little mound next to him. That's King Radwold himself in the middle. And then there's Edith Pretty, the landowner, at the end. And so I think that Lego Ideas, it's nice to have some figures. You know, I can imagine it. You always build the figure first. So I think some of the context would be really interesting. I also did play around. I want to show you some more of the work. I've got some other photos to show as well. Trying to work out like to build the boat that he was founding. So I've just started to sort of fool around with the site and what it might look like, and I did consider that, but it was getting too unwieldy, and I wanted to capitalize on the publicity that the Dig had, because I didn't know Netflix were making the Dig, and then I found out, and I was like, oh no, I've got to finish this thing and try and ride some of that publicity wave. So slightly annoyingly, I was tweeting about it before it was finished. It was almost finished. I just hadn't put the neck guard on, and I hadn't quite ordered the bits. But if you're interested, I will show you. I'll share my screen again. Oh yeah, just quickly. So I was kind of inspired by some of the other people have built helmets before, but they've always been sci-fi superhero helmets, and they're great technique. But if I show you the build phase, they give this quite close fitting thing. They're all arch out of the ears. So if you can see, the earpieces tend to be round bits on their side, and like Iron Man thing, and they come out of an arch, and it's great. And I spent a long time just trying to get something that wouldn't fall apart on my head. But the Sutton Hoo helmet isn't built like that. Yes, that is a helmet. So I started working with a rounder shape. It's quite high. It reminds me a lot of like like an old-fashioned British fireman's helmet from like the 80s, with a big, with a sort of crest and the neck protector. Then I started playing around with the face pieces. So you can see here, I'm sort of trying to figure out how to do that eye piece, and gave up in the end. And then the nose bit was kind of fun as well in the end. I realized that trying to make things on my own head was, every time I took it off and on, bits would fall off, and I was just going mad. And so I bought a dummy head, which is smaller than my head. So here's the back of it, just putting lots of mixels and clip pieces to get it all together. That's what it looks like on the inside. So I was just building around with multicolored pieces, and then going backwards and figuring out what I needed, and then ordering it from Bricklink, and then waiting for 4 days while it arrived. So I know the Bricklink. This is, my daughter got hold of the head, and after watching RuPaul's Drag Race, did some customization of, well, I think it was looking for an Egyptian project as well, hence the nose remove. I can't remember what, but there was, anyway, that got kind of, and this is the bit where it all fell to pieces, by the way. And I was just like, I'm going to give up. I cannot get this to work. But eventually I kept going, and once it was stable enough to get that main shape and rigid enough, it was that was the first sort of day. I started to get it to work, and that moustache piece, I thought it was quite funny because it's held there by a snot piece. I thought snot on noses was quite a good Lego joke. And then by this time I was finishing up here, so you can see I'm just sort of applying the neck guard pieces, and they were quite easy. It was just a case of working out. The light grey is intended to be like the edges of all the pieces going around. And the dark grey is the sort of centerpiece. And I think, so I guess the main question I get asked is it wearable? So let's answer that with this video.
Oh, wow.
So the answer is yes, it is wearable. Sadly, it doesn't fit my head anymore because I've got quite a massive head, but it does fit either a child or a person with a small head. It is though incredibly fragile. Although it is technically wearable, it is intended as a display piece, and I think it's just been such a interesting exercise in building it. And I think with my background in kind of content and education and marketing and things like that, it's been finding out about the whole history and the subject of it, and finding out, you know, the life of Nigel Williams and the work the British Museum have done, and the support from the National Trust, who own the Sutton Hoo site, but you can go to and visit. So I'm now at the stage where it's on Lego Ideas. I trust all the 51 people on this call will all vote for it, which will get me up to nearly 200. But now is the hard part of getting it to sort of the next stages, and reaching out to history groups as well as Lego fans, and doing all that kind of stuff. Because I think if it is made, I mean, you can imagine the mocks that people will make out of this if indeed Lego do decide to run with it. That would be amazing. They might, a bit like Blacksmith's Forge, it might get scaled back into like the bust heads that they've released, you know, the Iron Man and Stormtroopers and things like that. I don't know. I'd be happy with that. But I think it might do well because, well, I'm hoping to do well. A, because it's, you know, something different, and B, I think Lego are looking for what sort of 18 plus sets. They're looking at history. You know, the Colosseum sets just come out. We've had things like the Palace of Versailles. They're looking at things like that, and so I don't know, but it's all in the lap of the gods. The only other thing I suppose I'd think about is some of that detailing that's around the helmet, on the sort of the symbolism and the figures and all that kind of stuff. If they were printed, or I mean, it'd be a nightmare with stickers. I'm not quite sure how that would work, because you can't really get a 6x4 single tile set with the studs around the edge. So there's I was just wanted to get it to a point where I could do something with it. Same as, yeah, but it's been a real fascinating build, and I could try and lift it up, but I'd probably, it's just held on a like a Lego Technic stand like that. I can try and show you the inside. Probably all fall to pieces now.
We can get a glimpse. Yeah, we can see it. That.
Yeah. So, yeah, as I say, it is technically wearable, but it is fine and fragile. So I'm hoping. I mean, if I had more time, I would. Damian was saying, like, you think, how did I build that? And there's a certain phrase, because I was just building this like late at night in lockdown, music blaring, and then I'd sort of go up in the morning, and it's almost like a Jekyll and Hyde scenario, because I come back and look at my work and go, how did I do that again? You know, because you're in the flow. But then some days I'd just be, nothing would work. It would fall to bits. It fell over once during a photo shoot. I had to rebuild it all. The stand is in Technic. I'm not very good on Technic. Maybe Damian is a stand expert, could help me out there. But it was a really fun and challenging build, and yeah, great fun to do. Any questions?
Sam asks if you were inspired by the helmet collection from Lego Star Wars at all.
So those sort of mini bust ones, the Stormtrooper, the TIE Fighter pilot. No, I'm aware of those. I think they're really great. I did look at the Iron Man one, and maybe I was actually more inspired by the other ideas builder who's done Tutankhamun's head. I think you put that that was in Blocks magazine a while ago, Graham. And he did like a massive one, and then he made a much smaller one that was a bit more practical. And maybe this might end up doing something. So maybe I might consider building a non-wearable one, but those like bus scale ones, I suppose they're called. They're about this big, aren't they? I mean, I think they're really interesting. I think the display pieces, they're obviously going down that. They're obviously doing Star Wars and Marvel and things like that, but it's interesting how the likes of, you know, the Andy Warhol projects and the Beatles and all that kind of stuff is coming into it. So I think history, and, you know, I'm just trying to work on the marketing to get more support and from the British Museum and those sorts of guys, because that'll really help it fly and make it a reality. Then everyone can have one.
Well, this is the thing with Lego Ideas, isn't it? Building something amazing is one challenge in and of itself, and then you've got the challenge of, now where do I get the support from?
Exactly, and there's loads of ideas on there that you think, that's amazing. I've sort of tried to back them and things like that, but then they they never quite get going, and yet other things do. But I think ideas, and maybe Sam will talk about this more a bit later this afternoon, but there was a sort of wave of, I know that a lot of fans were slightly disappointed in the last ideas round that I think the globe got through, and the guitars, I think, and there were, I think they, because the round before that we saw a lot of IP based ideas, so Flintstones, Mickey Mouse, and all those all those ones. And so I wonder whether that they're trying to pivot away from that maybe, and look at some other things that are not there, because there's great fan stuff, but I mean, they did the Friends set, which, you know, we've got the coffee shop, Friends studio, and then there was like dozens then of like Seinfeld studio and Monica's apartment, and like everyone piled in. And I imagine, and I'm only guessing here, but they were like, okay, we've kind of done that. Well, they'll move on to explore other areas, and perhaps sort of history and stuff like that, especially with the sort of connection, because the Sutton Hoo helmet is only one of, well, there are 4 other Anglo-Saxon helmets in the UK and several in Germany and Denmark as well. So all that whole region was all trading between the North Sea. You know, there were boats going between Jutland and Denmark and the UK, and backwards and forwards and places like that. So I'm just hoping they'll do that. Any more questions?
So Adam Brine asks, do you think Lego would take the set as built if it was selected, or do you think they'd try and turn it into something with more general global knowledge, like a Viking helmet? Do you think they'd change it too much, and would you be okay with that?
So, got to be careful how I answer this. Okay, circle of trust, everyone. The rules for Lego Ideas, they say don't pitch a series, okay? Because it's got to be an individual idea. Okay, so this is just this idea. However, if they were to come up with a mechanism that you could customize it in other ways, I mean, I think the community will probably do that anyway. So once you've got the basic helmet shape, people are going to be doing everything from, you know, Game of Thrones to all sorts, you know. So that I think will be really interesting, and see if that happens. So I'm mindful not to have built this as intended as a series, because I don't want them to say, oh, we're not doing it now as a series. But you quite clearly, the community, I think, will run away. You could have samurai helmets, you could have, you know, tribal masks, you could have Native American stuff. I mean, there is a rich tapestry there, but I think it's something that the community will probably do rather than Lego. That's because I don't want Lego to not do it because they say it's a series. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that makes total sense. And I think that's what's great about ideas is once, I mean, like with Mim's pop-up books earlier, once people get a great idea from it, and once they get a set and they see how you can, you know, customize it and rebuild it, you know, people, that would be the dream, you know, where people are. And I think it's interesting, you know, Lego have just done the whole wearable thing. To my knowledge, you know, if you look at, I mean, the other thing I'd love is a kit for like Lego dots that turns it into Anglo-Saxon, which sounds kind of strange, but imagine like a kind of Viking jewelry thing, like, because I'm doing an event with later, well, in the summer actually, with Ipswich Archives, Suffolk Archives based in Ipswich, and they've got like it's like a museum centre, and where one of the sort of Lego workshops is, you know, design a brooch or a piece of treasure and things like that. So I could quite easily see, you know, an Anglo-Saxon dots kit perhaps, or something like that. That would be fun. But yeah, I think when people take an idea and run with it, like those pop-up books, or like, you know, if this gets made into, like, there's a generic helmet structure there, then you can have, and people will make sci-fi ones as well as historical ones. I think that would be really interesting. But as for wearable Lego, I mean, there's probably a whole bunch of issues here around health and safety. And Lego are quite clear. I mean, there's quite a lot of pieces under tension, shall we say that? Which I know that Lego don't particularly fond of. So I mean, in a way, it's intended to start a wider discussion about helmets and history and
you know, artifacts and culture and all that kind of stuff. So that's where I'm at right now. And then I just need to get the support in.
If we're allowed to wear VR helmets in our homes and risk walking into the wall, we should be allowed to wear Lego helmets in our homes and risk
Exactly. I just imagine some, you know, there's a child somewhere with a really big head who doesn't fit, and you know, Lego. I mean, they could maybe. I mean, I built it to fit the polystyrene dummy heads because that's just was the thing that I was working on. But they might have to do a kind of. You could make it so small, medium, and large. There could be bits. There could be, you know, add this couple of extra plates around or something like that. I mean, I haven't really thought that far idea.
Big booster kit that gives you extra elements.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the wearable thing, you know, they've just it's a different thing, but you know, they're partnerships with Adidas and Levi's, so maybe wearable Lego could be the future. I don't know. You know, if you could have like a Anglo-Saxon helmet, dots jewelry, trainers, and a denim jacket, it might mash up. But yeah, it'd be really funny. I think also, look, you know, my daughter helped me do the minifigures. She was really insistent on that. She's slightly gutted because she's changed the hair on the Edith Pretty now. She's found a better hairpiece in the figures drawer. But if you change on Lego ideas, you can't then make another change for 6 weeks. It was initially rejected, actually. It was rejected because, well, not rejected, but they advised me to reapply it because I'd put in photos of me, the photos I've just shown you guys of me doing all this, and they've got some strict T's and C's. I can totally understand why. You know, the kids can submit ideas and all that kind of stuff. So you're not allowed to put pictures of yourself in. I think you're allowed your hand sort of demonstrating something is about all your, or if you have like a light break function, say, or something like that. So they said it was rejected on that ground. And I also included a side-by-side shot of the helmet versus a photo of the real one. Even though it was public domain, they just like it all, you know, those are the terms of business. So I slightly missed the dig that wave when that came out because I was frantically resubmitting it. And then there's this awful kind of waiting period where you're like, has it worked? and then suddenly you get the email, you're like, woohoo! So yeah, so getting to the 100 was the first milestone. We did that in 24 hours. But now it's reaching out. But I think, you know, from educationally, kids, you know, I've done other projects with EdTech projects with Lego, and kids just like, wow, you know. And as soon as you've got them at wow, the rest just flows, and then they start to find out a bit more. And the actual Sutton Hoo site in Ipswich, although it's closed now, when it reopens, has, I'm not sure if it'll have this post-COVID, but they have like a sort of plastic mock-up kids can wear and put it on. I mean, when you put it on, I did, before I completed the back crawley, I could wear it just about. It is quite a powerful thing to put on a helmet and kind of imagine yourself, even though it's made of Lego, which is the most friendly substance on earth. It's sort of, you put on this thing and you think what it must have been like to be a Anglo-Saxon king in 625 AD. So yeah, but we'll see. There's a long way to go yet, but it's and there's lots other awesome projects it's competing against, because even getting to 10,000 is no guarantee of you know, them making it. So there you go.
Well, thank you so much, Andrew. That is such a cool build. And if you could share the link to the Ideas project in the chat.
Yes, I will do that right now.
Very easily jump on there and give it their support. Oh,
and quick plug, hopefully this is a former space project, my Funked Up Neo Space, which should be in a magazine soon, hopefully. Graham, is that correct?
That is in the current issue of Blocks magazine, so thank you for giving me another opportunity to remind you that the new issue is out this weekend at blocksmag.com.
Well, as a subscriber, I'll be looking forward to getting my issue. Here we go.
Hopefully mine will turn up soon as well. But no, thanks so much, Andrew. It's a really cool build, and it was really fascinating seeing all of the work in progress pictures and so on. So good luck with the 10K.
Thank you very much. I'll pop that in the chat now. Here we go.
And next up, we've got Blake Milroy. So, hey, Blake, how are you doing?
Hello. Good, thanks.
What have you got to share today, Blake?
Well, I have got, if the camera will turn around, so I've got my small GBC setup there.
Oh, brilliant.
So that consists of, let me just count them, 2, 4, so that's six modules and one that isn't currently working.
Yeah.
So I've got them, and then over here, I have the Lego corner, and then I have a little surprise, which is, I'm actually quite proud of it, but we'll stay with this bit for now. We'll stay with these for now.
Oh, that's tantalising.
I'll just go through them one by one, ignore my sister's dolls in the background. So this is used by, so this is my own creation using the EV3 Mindstorm set.
Okay.
So this is a counter, but I haven't quite got the program right, so I just took off the sensor for this bit.
Okay.
And now this one is called Rampossilante. It's a French design, and it is a 4-bar mechanism which takes the balls up and rides them down to the 2018 Brick World stepper, which I've modified.
Brilliant.
Make it a bit taller. And this is Ethan McCain's banana gig.
Yeah.
Using the banana gears.
Oh, fantastic.
And now this is the first one I ever got, and it's been the biggest thorn in my side. This is Scissor Lift by Sawyer, and it's just, you've got to get all the little timings right down here, otherwise the steppers don't work, and then it's just a huge mess. And then lastly, it's the Splat Gear Sweeper from Mindstalk. So I just turn everything on.
Let's see it in action.
Yeah, and now press this, and then, oh, turned it on. Yes, I have. Right. So there's a small rotating arm there that feeds the balls in slowly.
Oh, brilliant. That's so cool.
And then from there, you can see here, you go,
Oh, wow.
picks them up, and then takes them down. And then this is the stepper, which takes them out the top.
Oh, wow.
There's the banana gig here, which takes them up and into here. So they go up. Oop. Yeah, that's dropping balls so right cool. Now. That needs adjusting. And then this last one, the stepper, just sweeps them up, nice and simple. And
that's
then
amazing.
we ran out of balls at that end. So that's everything from my GBC setup.
That's so
and then round here is all of the Lego modules I have, not modules, sets I've ever created. So yeah. I've got some very old ones in here. So I think, so that's the original Lego, the Lego movie set with the crane and the minifigures down here and Emmett operating the crane.
Yeah.
And then back here we have the Space Invaders set with the little the Lego man.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then here we have the Arctic Explorers set.
Ah.
And then this is a Transformer. So these are the smaller sets now. The Transformer, Ninja Turtles, the Drag Racer here. Yeah. And now these two aren't official Lego sets. They are a small company in Japan, and they make smaller versions of Lego. So they're really small Lego bricks. And then I have what you guys sent to me for the lockdown building, the plane. So that's the Lego corner. And then over here, I have the Lego Technic rally car. However, if I open up the bonnet, you can see a battery box in there.
What?
And then there's a servo motor and a large motor in there, if you can see it. So that, and I've also got a controller. So if I turn that on and then turn this on, you can see that I've in fact motorized it. So if I just pop it down on the floor, I have motorized it. Right, how am I going to do this? This may become right. So I'll be steering with one hand, which might not.
Very smooth.
Yeah. Right, how am I going to do this with one hand? Thank
You're
God.
doing better than I would be with one hand. That's really impressive.
Now, I've got an interesting story about this. So the default set uses a limited slip differential to control the wheels and the engine and blah, 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 blah. But however, when you motorize it, the limited slip differential can slip the gears. So if you hear it, you can hear the clicking.
Yeah.
So that's the gears slipping. So I was planning to put a new differential in. I'd planned it all and everything, and I was just waiting for 2 universal joints to arrive to put in, because it's got active suspension. So you've got to try and plan around that on the front and the back. So the 2 universal joints arrived right in the brake. So I thought, if I take this apart and I don't get it fixed in time, then I won't be able to show it.
Yeah, exactly.
But then if it does work, then it'll be great. And then anyway, it got to about 15:15 and I hadn't done, and it was in pieces on my bed. So I thought, you know what, I better just fix it up and make it proper so I can show it. So yeah, that's everything I've got here.
Blake, that's amazing. Did you have any inspiration online, or did you entirely do that motorizing yourself?
Well, I'd seen people do it on like Pinterest and stuff, and I thought that would be really awesome. So for Christmas, I purchased a motorization set for the McLaren.
Yeah.
And that came with multiple XL motors in the controller and everything like that. So I tried to do it on my own, but I did in the end need a bit of help.
Yeah.
Hooking everything up and yeah.
It's so cool though to see it going around. And could we have another quick look at your GBC, please?
Yeah, well, I'll have to restock the balls in the front module.
Yeah, well, I was just curious about the module that you designed, if you could tell us a little bit more about that.
So this is using the Lego Mindstorm set. Oh, the little arm's still going away. So with this one, I was wanting to do a simple wheel stepper type module. And originally, I had not this motor, but the other motor that came with the set, and that was going far too fast. And originally I used this. So this is the 3-piece axle with some connectors on the end. And it was 3 prongs rotating the balls up.
Yeah.
Up one little step here. So that was far too fast. And with GBC, it's got to be an average of 1 ball per second. And that was about 3. So it was 3 balls per rotation. It was going really fast, so far too fast.
Yeah.
So this motor runs slower, and I've also programmed it to run slower. And I've just gone a lot more simple gearing, because the one had quite a lot of gearing.
Yeah.
So this one, I first designed the bottom bit with the place for the Mindstorm's brain thing at the back. And I designed the front bit, so the bit where the actual balls sit. And then I added the motorization, and I also added this back thing. So this is what's called like a resinker. So if it was in a proper loop where it was all the way around, if a module was going too fast, or it's just normally in output fast, then this slows it back down and puts balls out at the 1 ball per second rate.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the aim for this module. Kind of like a reservoir module, kind of. So it just holds a lot and puts them out one at a time, nice and slowly.
If anyone's got any questions for Blake, please pop them in the chat. So we've got some really nice comments here, Blake. Someone is impressed, Ashley is impressed that you've got all these GBCs set up and they work straight away and they're reliable.
Yeah.
Flowing.
There is, other than, so this is modules called Blizzard on Planet GBC, and that I've tried to gear it down by a lot, but when that runs, it just tears itself to shreds. Yeah. So I wouldn't recommend that one. And also I have another module upstairs that's never worked, and I've never been able to get it working. That one's a simple stepper module by Sam Friesend. It's just an absolute nightmare. I've been trying to get it working for ages, but in the end I thought best not show it because it'll probably fail on me at the last very second.
Well, hopefully when we can have physical meetups and things again, it's easier to figure these things out together sometimes.
Yeah.
Matthew says it's amazing and inspiring to see you doing these incredible builds. Very impressive, Marilyn says. Ashley asks, what are you going to build next for your GBC?
Well, I have my eyes on a Lego GBC by somebody in Denmark. And it's a huge wheel, and it's based off a deer scarer. So that's just humongous. So that's what I'm planning to get next. But I'm gonna have to do a tiny bit of saving. It's about £300 off Bricklink for everything. Wow. So yeah. I also saw someone in the chat put what inspired you. So when I was younger, my nana would always walk me home from school, and I'd always have my parents pick me up about an hour later because they always worked later. So I'd always be sat on my iPad on YouTube, and I found Beyond the Bricks GBC videos, and I just thought they were absolutely amazing. And I always wanted to build one since. And then I did, and I absolutely loved it. So that's what inspired me, Beyond the Bricks GBC videos.
Well, thank you so much, Blake, for going through that with us. I mean, the GBC is awesome, the Technic car is awesome, and it was great to get a look at your Lego corner. And you presented this so well. It was really smooth, and we really appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So that wraps up the second session of mocks in Bricks at Home. So a massive thank you to Damian, Ollie, Andrew and Blake for sharing their models with us. Once again, it's super inspiring, and we've seen a really nice mix of things in this session. So now there's time to grab some lunch, get another drink, whatever you need to do to keep yourself fresh and ready for plenty more Lego activity this afternoon. We're back at 1:30 when Nick from Brighton Bricks has got a mindfulness and well-being activity for everyone to get involved with. And don't forget to have a look at the merchandise that's available for Bricks at Home as well. So thanks, everyone.